Good afternoon. I'm David Stewart of Straight Talk Wealth Management. My Monday Musings for the 2nd of August 2021. I'm going to be talking about quantitative easing and why you should understand it. You've probably seen or indeed heard commentators talking about the Bank of England using quantitative easing as part of their role in managing the rate of inflation in the UK. Sounds terribly complicated, but in essence is really quite simple. So why does the Bank of England use quantitative easing? Well, it's their job to keep the prices of things you buy low and stable, as this helps to support people's jobs and incomes. Rising prices is called inflation, and the UK government has set the Bank of England an inflation target. To keep inflation on target, they usually change a key interest rate in the economy called the bank rate. Changes in bank rate feed through to how much interest you get on your savings and how much interest you pay on the loan. That affects the amount of spending in the economy and so helps inflation to either rise or fall. But things changed during the global financial crisis that began in 2008. At that time, they quickly reduced the bank rate from 5% to 0.5% to help the UK economy recover. But even with the bank rate that low, they needed to do more to boost the economy and to meet their inflation target. And that's where quantitative easing comes in. So how does it work? Well, quantitative easing acts in a similar way to cuts in bank rate. It lowers interest rates on savings and loans, and that stimulates spending in the economy. Here's how it works. The Bank of England will buy UK government bonds, known as gilts, or corporate bonds from other financial companies and pension funds. When they do this, the price of these bonds tends to increase, which means that the bond yield or interest rate that holders of the bonds get goes down. The lower interest rate on government bonds and corporate bonds then feeds through to lower interest rates on loans for households and businesses. This helps to boost spending in the economy and to keep inflation on target. To understand how the price of something affects the yield or interest rate, think about buying a house and then letting it. If you buy a house for £100,000 and then let it for £10,000 per annum, the yield or interest rate is 10%. If the price of that house goes up to £200,000, but the rent remains at £10,000, the yield has halved to 5%. The price of any commodity, including gilts or corporate bonds, is driven by supply and demand. You will have seen that the price of many of the things you buy each day has risen because of the supply problems caused by other things such as COVID and Brexit. This equation works throughout the world of finance and investment. Quantitative easing also affects the prices of other assets like shares and property. Here's an example. Suppose the Bank of England, buy £1 million worth of government bonds from a pension fund. In place of those bonds, the pension fund now has £1 million in cash. Rather than hold on to that cash, it normally invests into other financial instruments such as shares that give it a higher return. This tends to push up the value of shares, making households and businesses holding those shares wealthier, which of course makes them more likely to spend and boost economic activity. Many of you will have heard my explanation of UK government bonds, or gilts, and corporate bonds and how they work. If you'd like to chat to me about these, please do get in touch. Usual ways, email David at straighttalkfinancial.co.uk or telephone 02380 243665. So, this is David of Straight Talk Wealth Management saying goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you again next week.